Hello, everybody. Welcome to a quick overview of your needs assessment assignment. So this is the first major assignment for Social Work 668. This is a needs assessment of a group in an organization or community, which is really the first step in the entire program evaluation process. So I'm going to take you through each sort of step quickly of the needs assessment assignment, and please feel free to reach out to me if you need further clarification on any of these steps. Okay, so needs assessment, what is really the purpose of them? They really help us understand what interventions or programming the group needs, so then we can move forward and evaluate it at the end of this class. They also take a look at what organizations or community services are currently happening or take place within the group. They help us identify gaps in services, so needs that are currently not being adequately addressed, and also services that can provide best alternatives for meeting the identified needs. So in order to understand what interventions work best, we need to understand what the current needs are. So the first part of this assignment is really going through 9 steps. So I'm going to take you through those 9 steps first, and then I'm going to take you through the parts of the paper. And so the 9 steps really involve data collection and analysis so that you can really write the paper. So again, just to recap, we are going to very quickly need to partner with a program or with an organization for this class. And we're going to need to identify 3 participants who are willing to be interviewed. I highly suggest interviewing people within the social work workforce at the organization rather than trying to identify 3 clients for reasons that I mentioned in my video this week. So step 1, you need to select the group or the study population. And this group needs to be cohesive in the fact that it, hangs together by, certain group of characteristics. So it could be based on age, race, ethnicity, gender, health status, etc. So for example, we've had students do needs assessment on caregivers of people with dementia, foreign-born older adults with cognitive impairment, children with trauma, workers in child protective services, people who work in immigrant and refugee serving organizations, but you need to make sure that you have sort of identified the parameters of this organization. Secondly, you need to determine the location of your needs assessment. So it's best not to do kind of like one person you're interviewing overseas and then one in your hometown and then another one out in a different part of the United States, but really kind of have them all work within a program that is located in one organization. So for example, and then also really understanding the scope of their services. So we've had students do needs assessment with the Kentuckiana Regional Planning and Development Agency for caregivers of older adults, a chapter of Alzheimer's organization, agency Good Hope for pregnant women who are coping with substance use disorders, for example. So you're really identifying the population of focus and then the location and service that the population is embedded within. Step 3 is you need to develop a problem statement or a rationale for the needs assessment. So why do we as a community, as people who consume academic literature, why do we need to understand the needs of this population greater? Like what gaps are there in existing literature? What strengths and assets does this population or community have that we can build off of to looking at their various strengths? What's the goal of the needs assessment? So this section requires referencing academic literature to justify the need for a deeper investigation. So make sure you have 5 to 7 peer-reviewed journal articles that have been published within the last 10 years. Step 4, this is where we get into our qualitative methods. So you need to identify the group of interview participants, and you really need to recruit them. So you have 3 project partners to interview. Describe their process of ethically recruiting them. So just be very clear that you're doing this for a class assignment, that there probably is not going to be any, fulfillment of their needs based on this class assignment, but you're really just kind of going through the process and practicing the process of qualitative data collection and analysis. Describe your sampling strategy. Most students choose a purposive or convenience sampling strategy, meaning that you're just reaching out to people in your network. You also want to consider others that influence the group. So partners who could provide a service to the group could also be included. Maybe you're doing child welfare workers and you also include a supervisor or somebody who might provide outside supervision to that group. That's an example. But in most instances, it is not permissible to partner with service users for this project. And that's ethical reasons that I mentioned in my video for this week, but also the idea that clients of services typically will not benefit from participating in this. So it wouldn't really be ethical to kind of give them false hope related to that. So I suggest really focusing your needs assessment on a workforce related issue. So looking at service providers or other community partners and staff. Step 5, you are going to engage in data collection. So you're going to develop an interview guide informed by the academic literature, which we went over more in depth this week. You are then going to go out and conduct your interviews. So these interviews should last approximately 15 minutes and be audio taped using a recording device. So you can do that with an external recording device. I use a handheld recording device, but some students like to use their phone. It's important to remain respectful, describe the steps you will take to ethically collect and report on human subjects data. So how will you protect your participants' identities? So please give them code names or pseudonyms. Make sure you ask each person if they mind being recorded for your interview, and usually only audio recording. And then you'll review and either hand transcribe the recordings, or you can use an external service. So Otter is a service that you can use that I have embedded that can quickly transcribe your interview recordings. Step 7 is data analysis. We are going to go over that more next week, but you are in week 4, but you're going to analyze your qualitative data. So we're going to go over data collection and analysis later on in the course. But data collection and analysis aims to identify or construct patterns in a systemic way within your interview transcript. So in order to accomplish this task, you will need to review your 3 recorded transcripts and detailed notes. So you are going to learn coding strategies in this course and how to apply them onto your data. And you're going to give enough detailed process in your writing about this so that somebody could really replicate this study and kind of come to the same conclusions that you have with your thematic analysis. Step 8, you're going to present your results. So that's where you're going to present a coherent rendering of your thematic findings. Although you might find some interesting gems, I really want you to focus on the 3 most significant themes. And you're really going to ground those themes in data by pulling in participants' very words through quotes or through data excerpts that you have gathered through transcriptions or the transcribing process. So lastly, you are going to discuss implications for practice. So summarize your findings and what you think is important about them, what is surprising about them, what critical gaps or needs have you identified within your population of focus? What were some of the limitations in your collection and analysis? And based on your finding, this is most important, I want you to identify an evidence-informed program, service, policy, or intervention that you would like to implement to address these needs. Don't say something like, oh, we just need more staff at this child welfare organization. No, we want you to actually look in the literature and see, well, is there a program that already exists out there that this gap might be filled by, or I'm also okay with you proposing something completely new because I like your creativity. And this program or your idea should be discussed in the context of existing research in the area. So 2 to 5 citations is important for this last step of contextualizing your findings, section 9. So let's get into the writing of the paper. We're going to have 4 primary sections. The first section is your significance and rationale. That's where you identify your population of focus, organization, or community, and a rationale for the needs assessment. Section 2 is your methods section. So how did you construct your sample? Who were your 3 project partners? Remember to keep them de-identified, but what role did they serve? How did you rationalize their inclusion in the study? And how did you recruit them? 2B is data collection and interview guide construction. So you're going to report on steps 5 and 6 above. So your process for developing your interview questions, which is actually your journal assignment for week 3. Feel free to recycle and place that in here. A brief rationale for your interview questions based on your literature review. 2C is your data analysis section. This links back to step 7 above. What was your analytic and coding process like? How did you develop your themes? Also, please include examples of codes and categories you used. Section 3 is kind of the meat of this assignment. This is where in your results, we want you to provide an overview of the 3 themes. So these are the patterns that you saw and that kept on reoccurring throughout your analysis of your findings. Provide examples from your recordings or interviews. I really like direct quotes to support your themes, and make sure to present data in the aggregate and conceal your participants' identities. So use those code names. Section 4 is discussions and implications for practice. This links back to step 9 above. You're going to summarize your findings, talk about what's important, what are the implications, what are the limitations, and based on your finding, what program or service are you going to propose, or what would you like to implement? Please note that this last part is going to directly inform your next assignment, the logic model, where we're actually going to be planning the implementation of this intervention and also looking and predicting key outcomes based on theories of change within organizations. So please include as an appendix your coded transcripts and a copy of your interview guide. And the paper should have headings that really correspond. I like a really well-organized paper. So make sure each section is like 1, 2, 3, 4. Maximum length is 7 pages, and minimum is 5. So you're also going to have to write pretty concisely and intentionally for this paper, and all aspects of this paper should conform to APA version 7. So with that, best of luck on your needs assessment assignment. You're going to want to quickly partner with an agency, identify 3 workers or project partners that you can interview, come up with an interview guide grounded in a literature review, and I am here to help you with any and all steps along the way. All right, everybody, take care. Bye.